Today, it's 8 years to the day since the sad passing of Lemmy. So, to remind us all what a true rock icon he was, we're taking a look back at when I caught up with the man himself back in 2011. Can you remember the first point that music you became aware of music when you were a kid?
Yeah, it was the Pirates of Bloody Penzance. My father kept playing it all the time on 78 RPM records on our wind-up gramophone. Yeah, it wasn't that inspiring, you know.
I was going to say, what?
But it convinced me that wasn't the music I wanted to play, you know.
So from that point you thought, right, well, I got to find something. So what was the first kind of rock and roll that you got into?
Well, it was Bill Haley in this country. America was more fortunate, you know, but it was Bill Haley. And he was good, you know, but I mean, you knew he wasn't very dangerous. He was a little fat guy with a kiss curl, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then Elvis showed up, and that was when you realised, that's the stuff, you know. Because he taught an entire generation how to look, you know.
You've picked the earliest of the music that we're going to play here. You picked comes from the Beatles, and you've picked "Slow Down," which is the old Larry Williams song they did. You've also got "I Saw Her Standing There." What took you to those two tracks, also the Beatles in particular, because they were pretty safe at that time, weren't they?
Safe.
Well, their kind of image, you know, it wasn't Elvis, was it?
Well, it depends. It depends how you saw the Beatles, and you weren't there, and I was.
That's true.
You know, I mean, the Beatles were the hard guys, you know, they're from Liverpool, man, you know, the Stones are from the suburbs of, like, South London, you know. Give me a break, you know. I mean, if you want bad boys, talk to Ringo Starr, he comes from the Dingle in Liverpool, which at the time was like a no-go area, you know what I mean? So it's not a case of safe. They was wearing suits, they weren't safe.
When you look back at your own professional career, what was the point that you decided that you were going to become a musician? Or didn't it happen like that?
When I noticed how many girls there were available to these people who sang on TV surrounded by screaming women, you know. And I thought, well, that's a job for me. You know? And luckily my mother had a guitar hanging on the wall because she used to play Hawaiian guitar with my uncle at, like, you know, local weddings and things like. And I put some strings on that and tuned it up, and it was a terrible bloody neck because it was supposed to be played with a steel and finger picks, you know, but youth knows no barriers, you know, so I took it to school and it worked immediately. I was immediately surrounded by women.
From then on,
I couldn't even play it, you know, at the time. I mean, you had to learn it later. They expect you to play it eventually, you know, but it worked, and I've never looked back, as it were.
You started playing, you were a guitarist before you were a bass player.
Yeah.
So, in your kind of rhythm guitar, which gave you that
mediocre guitarist is the word you want.
Well,
I was a good rhythm guitarist. I couldn't play a lead to save my life, you know.
Yeah. But that led you to a different style of bass playing, which is what got you noticed.
It certainly is different, yeah. Well, I don't actually play bass, you know. I play rhythm guitar and a bass, you know.
Just happen to be holding the blade, yeah. We're going to take a track by the MC5 here, Human Being Lawnmower. You actually played with the MC5. You've been mates with them, I think, for a long time.
Yeah, for a long time, yeah.
What was it about this particular track?
Because it's crackers. It's balmy, you know. I mean, there's no particular structure you can, like, follow. Every bit of it's different, you know. It's excellent.
The MC5 and Human Being Lawnmower, as chosen by Lemmy on this brand new series of My Planet Rocks. How do you look back on your Hawkwind years now? I
don't look back at them, really. I mean, they're still right now in my head, you know, because if you remember something really well, then it's present, you know. It was a great band when I was in it.
You still play with them now and again?
Yeah, occasionally get up and do the old war horse, you know. I've got a silver bloody machine, you know. I've still got a silver machine, apparently.
After all these years?
Yes.
How, I mean, when you were, what was your kind of manifesto in that band? What were you trying to do? Because it was so very different from everything that was around at the time.
I was just a bass player, you know. I mean, I was hired hand, you know. It was Dave's band, you know. I mean, I had to form my own band to start getting fired, you know. I mean, everybody else fired me.
You only got fired once, didn't you, from there?
No, I got fired out of several people, yeah. It was just, like, awful, you know. I mean, the rejection was terrible, you know.
The Stones track you've picked here, we've got the live version of Route 66.
Yes.
Why that in particular, please?
Because it's excellent. It rocks like a trip hammer, you know. And it was when they appeared, I believe, at Wembley, Empire Pool. And I think they tore them off the stage, you know. I mean, they went nuts. If you see pictures from that show, it's incredible. I mean, they're just surrounded, and there's no security. None, you know. Not visible anyway. People have been trampled in the rush, you know. And in those days, it was different from what it is now, because we used to get mobbed when I was with the Rocking Vickers, right up in the north. We were like the local Stones, you know. And we used to come around on a revolving stage, yeah, in a couple of these ballrooms. And by the time it got all the way around, we'd be gone. They'd have dragged us off. And I don't know if you've ever had your trousers torn off.
Do you know, I haven't.
With the seam along the inside leg. You know, that's really painful, man. You wouldn't believe how painful that is. Try it sometime and see. And there was a phase where they always ran at you with scissors for a bit of your hair. Like 200 birds running at you with scissors. It's a daunting sight, trust me. And, you know, there isn't enough hair to go around either, you know, so...
The Rolling Stones and Route 66 on My Planet Rocks from the Vaults. And that particular track was chosen by Lemmy back when I caught up with him in 2011. And we'll have more of his choices in just a bit. The next track you've chosen, actually, is The Who and Summertime Blues. Tell me what your reason is behind this one.
Well, if you want a rock and roll band, you can't go wrong with The Who, you know. I mean, Townsend is a wonderful guitar player, you know. And he doesn't play a whole lot of lead, but, like, his riffs are incredible, you know, and the way he plays chords is unbelievable. And that windmill thing is so, like, wild when you see him do it, you know. I mean, he doesn't do it really anymore, you know, which is a shame. He should do. He should dye his hair and do it more, you know. I mean, I think Pete's like worried about being old, you know, and you shouldn't be, you know, because it's only years, you know. Doesn't matter. You can still do the same thing if you feel it. You can still do it. I don't think he feels it anymore, really.
He doesn't rate himself as any kind of good guitar player. So it's interesting to hear that you say it.
He doesn't really do the windmill thing anymore, though. You know, I mean, that's so fierce when you see the guy do that. If you want a good look at The Who, look at that Woodstock thing and look at the Kids Are All Right video, you know. Brilliant, really brilliant.
What do you put your longevity down to?
Not giving up, basically. I mean, if you stick around, they have to hire you eventually, don't they? I mean, I'm sure we only got a Grammy because they were sick of seeing us, you know, like hanging around, you know.
You got a Grammy because they felt a bit sorry for you?
Probably. Or they felt they had to, kind of, you know, because it was our 30th anniversary. But even then, they stuck the knife in. They didn't give it us for one of our songs.
No, not really. Yeah. Do you ever get fed up with having to be you, in as much as there's such a kind of image around you? Or...
Oh, no, I quite like me. I mean, you know, I've had a lot of practice. I've never been anybody else.
Do people expect you to be this Lemmy image all the time, though? Or?
Some people kind of expect you to come through the door laying about you with a hatchet, you know, but it's impossible to be like that all the time, you know. I mean, it's really boring for a start.
I want to play a Ramones track here, which you...
the Ramones, what a great band that was.
Well, yeah, you've chosen I Want to Be Sedated. You played with them.
Yeah,
on several occasions.
Times. I wrote a song in tribute to them and they ended up doing it.
Really?
Ramones, Ramones, I wrote that.
You wrote that, yeah. What was it about that band for you? Because they were fabulous.
They understood, Joey understood about rock and roll, you know. He knew the structure of a good rock song, you know, because although they're really fast, those songs, you slow them down, they're rock and roll songs from the 50s, you know. And he was really good at that.
I want to take a Sex Pistols track as well that you've chosen. You covered brilliantly God Save the Queen, but you've actually chosen Anarchy in the UK.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I couldn't choose God Save the Queen, you know, because we did the better version. Ha ha ha. Hello, John. I know. Hello, John, yeah. I've been on Steve's radio show in LA. You know, he's got a radio show on the internet in LA on 103.1, and that's a really good show. You know, he has interesting guys on there sometimes.
Did you feel an affinity with the Sex Pistols? Because you were kind of crossed the rock punk boundaries with Motorhead in the
we did. Yeah, we were the only long-haired band they'd wear. You know, like really.
Well, they loved you.
Yeah, because if you shut your eyes, we sound like a punk band. You know,
yeah.
Like, so it was the same like ethic.
Anarchy in the UK, Lemmy's choice on this week's My Planet Rocks on Planet Rock. Do you listen to much new music these days, Lemmy? I mean, you were recently in the new video for Airborne, weren't you?
They were brilliant, you know, I like them. They've got the AC/DC ethic going for them, you know, kind of. And
do you think rock's pretty good at the moment? Because it seems to be quite a lot about.
Well, it'll always survive, you know, no matter what the media does to it or tries to dismiss it. You know, I mean, you'll never get rid of rock and roll, you know, because it's basic, you know, enjoy yourself music. And there's no better enjoy yourself music than rock and roll. So it'll always be around. Luckily for you, else you'd lose your job.
Yes, we would. There's enough of that going on today. And also, now you've picked the first track from the first album of The Damned, which is neat. And I think you played on some demos with The Damned, didn't you? And I mean, I know you've done some bits on stage with them, but
I did the first show with them and they reformed. Yeah,
that was the thing you did there. They're pretty phenomenal band as well.
Yeah, I love The Damned. You know, I mean they were the real embodiment of punk, as far as I was concerned. You know, because I mean, look at them. They're four completely different people. You know, like they're nothing in common at all. You know, and they get on stage and it's like nuts. You know. Captain just as a large teddy bear with a bowler hat on, you know what I mean? We did this TV show with them in Munich, and on the way over, the crew, because he didn't have a case for his bass, right? I mean, it was just being carried.
Yeah.
And they broke it in half, right? So they didn't tell him. They, like, screwed it back, glued it back together or something. And on the show itself, live, it broke in half, you know? In the end, luckily, they were miming, like, you know?
Yeah.
And he ended up with it in two pieces with the strings wrapped around his neck falling to the ground. Like, great, you know, perfect stuff.
We've got we're going to finish up actually with the band that we haven't really mentioned, which is Led Zeppelin.
Led Zeppelin, that was a great band, see. I mean, I saw their first show. I think it was the first show. Well, no, it wasn't, because they played abroad first, didn't they, in France or somewhere, in Germany. But I saw the first show in Britain at the Lyceum, I think. Yes, it was the Lyceum. And Bonzo did that thing with his hands. He did a drum solo with his hands, no sticks. You know, and that's impressive, man, you know, because, I mean, it didn't suffer any sound, any volume loss.
No, he
was hitting them so hard.
He had tree trunk arms, yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's hands on the end of them. You'd think it would be a massive, like, raw bone by the end he'd finished with it. It's unbelievable, really. I was impressed by that. And I was always impressed by Pagey, you know.
Yeah.
Hello, Jim. Yes, I was always impressed by you. And the bass playing's great, too, John Paul, you know, because he was for years a really well-known session man all over the place. You know, he went on tour with the Everly Brothers and things years ago, you know. And Planty, it was the original, you know, whoops-a-daisy vocal, you know.
Stunning, though. I mean, did you ever play with them? I never found out.
No, we never shared a bill with them, no. But I saw them a couple of times, you know, in the early days.
You picked Black Dog. Why would that be?
It's a perfect rock and roll number, isn't it, you know. It's like, you start off with that screaming, you know, and it's brilliant, you know. It's like an old rock and roll song played by people in 1970, whatever it was, you know.
Hey, mama said the way you move gonna make you sweat,
Led Zeppelin and Black Dog, chosen by Lemmy when I caught up with him back in 2011.